Good to go.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the WebUI CSD Navigation Techniques TUG webinar. It's our pleasure to introduce today's presenters, Mel Church. Mel is the ERP administrator at Southern Supply Company, is primarily responsible for implementing upgrades and managing the application side of the software for the company. In 2017, Mel led Southern Supply's migration from GUI 6 to WebUI version 11. Also joining her this afternoon is Brandon Stacken of Infor. Brandon is a solutions consultant within the wholesale distribution side of Infor and is primarily responsible for providing solution and industry expertise as a trusted advisor to their customers, as well as a voice for Infor distribution products. Thank you so much, and if you want to speak, it's all yours. Turning it over.
Thank you, Gloria. I'm really excited to be here today and to share some tips and tricks that we've all learned from our upgrade, and hopefully you'll get something out of this today. So, like Gloria mentioned, I'll be doing a live run-through of WebUI in a vanilla Cloud Suite environment, which is provided to us by NSA. And by vanilla, I mean that this is an environment that doesn't have any modifications, personalizations, or extension put in the system yet. So to get started, I'm going to log into the web platform in Chrome, and I'll log in using my AD credentials, my Active Directory credentials. Okay. So before I get straight into SX, I would actually like to run through a very quick overview of the entire web suite and show you how it differs from GUI. Okay, in the old system, let me pull up GUI just to show you what it looks like. In the old system, we had access to our accounting, inventory, and ordering controls, whereas the new system, we have access to an entire new platform. So this new system has the ability to automate processes with alerts and workflows, and we have applications like home pages, which is right here. It's more of a dashboard of everything that's important to you in one spot, and you can add the different widgets that you like that are important to you. And I'll get a little bit more into that later. And we have an application called Mingle, which I think of as the Facebook of business. It allows you to connect and communicate with other users and groups. So in our company, we have different groups like warehouse groups, cluster groups, job title groups, and we're able to share to specific people or a particular group anything that's important to us. Okay, so no matter what application you're in, so I'm going to navigate over to document management. So no matter what application you're in, you have access to this platform, and you have access to that through this, what I call the gray bar. So the gray bar is essentially just the access to the web platform, and the blue bar below it will be your access to whatever application you're in at the time. So let's cover really quickly what we have access to in the gray bar. So again, no matter what application you're in, you can access your home pages by clicking on the little Infor icon here. And then we have access to all of our applications in what I call the waffle menu, but it's technically called the app menu. And I'll show you more about that later. And then you can actually search the entire web platform using what I call the gray bar search. And then we have our user menu. So you can change your profile picture, you can change your out of office settings, anything that's important to you and how you want your profile to show up, like your notifications. If you don't want to receive an email every time someone sends you a friend request, that can be set up here. And then we have our inbox. And this is where you receive your notifications about different kinds of alerts that come through. And whenever you do have an alert, you'll get a little orange dot next to the inbox. And then this feature, the share feature, I actually really like this. So you can share whatever screen you're in. So let's say you're in SX and you're in order inquiry and you want to share an order with another user. You can just hit the share button. And not only does it share it with that person on their Mingle page, it also shares a link where you can click on that and it drills straight down into SX and you can take a look at the order. And then lastly, on the gray bar, we have bookmarks, and that's just for SX. And I'll actually show you a little bit more about that here in a bit. So I know you're all here today to see WebUI SX, so let's move into that. So to get into WebUI, or Cloud Suite distribution, you go into the waffle menu, or the app menu, and choose your application. I do want to give you a tip here. So whenever I first logged into WebUI, you saw that it came up to my home pages. If you would like Cloud Suite to come up first, you can just drag and drop it over to the top left, and then Cloud Suite will come up first the next time you log in. Okay. So in this vanilla version of WebUI, we have single sign-on set up. And I think a lot of people do now. So that makes it so you don't have to enter your SX operator and password. And if you have more than one SX account, you'll have the option to choose which one you want to log into right here. Now, if I only had one SX account, it would have logged me straight into SX without bringing up the screen. So let me just go ahead and sign in. So here's WebUI. It looks quite a bit different from GUI, but you have the same functionality and more. So let me show you how. Let me pull up GUI real quick. So you have your menu items and your bookmarks or shortcuts and your acronym search bar. And in the acronym search bar, you can only search for acronyms, no words or anything else. In WebUI, you have all of that plus some. And you're also able to search for acronyms more efficiently in the blue bar search, as you can use words, and I'll show you more about that here in a minute. And then including that, we have a new overall search. So this is for acronyms, the blue bar search. And then this search is for anything, you can search for any data within SX. And that is new to WebUI. We didn't have that in GUI. So let me just show you a little bit about how that works. Let me just search for a random product here. So let's say I have a customer come in and say, I want to look at this product number, GWHT55524. So not only does it bring up the results that you have here, but it brings up links. So it brings up the links that you can actually go into. So I can click on Product Inquiry. It'll bring up a new tab, and I can take a look at that product. Now you do have the ability to change what links you have here as well, which I just found out and is super useful. Okay, so let's do a new search. Let's do a broader search. So let's say I'm going to search for customer 1001. That's a pretty generic number. It'll bring up a lot of results. I just want to show you real quick that you can drill down into that data. So let's say I only want to see customers. That way it'll only show me customers. And then you can, let's say you had some inactive ones, you could choose the status as well. And you can refine as much as you like. And so if you accidentally close this, you can access it again from the hamburger menu. Go to search. And there you go. Okay. So I want to show you the 3 different ways to pull up functions in WebUI. So you can pull them up from the hamburger menu, the blue bar search, or from your bookmarks. So let's start with the hamburger menu. Okay, so I want to show you the difference between GUI. There we go. Between GUI and WebUI. So in GUI, we have like OE. In WebUI, we have sales. So now we have it in English, and it's much easier for new people to onboard new people, because OE means nothing coming on board, whereas sales means something to them. So we found that new people really like WebUI for that reason. So in GUI, you could just go to OE, Inquiry, Orders to bring up Order Inquiry. In WebUI, it's exactly the same. Sales, Inquiry, Orders, And there you go. Now, that's not my favorite search. My favorite search is the one over here. I think it's much more efficient. And the reason is because you can use acronyms and words. So you can start typing anything that's in the name of that function and it'll come up. So you can type in words or acronyms. So let me just show you that a little bit. Let's try, see, it brings up order entry. That's just the acronym. If I want to type in order, it'll bring up anything that has the word order in it. And again, I do have access to a lot of things. I'm an administrative account. And so all of my functions over here and in the hamburger menu have to do with my security and SASO. So one of the reasons I like this blue bar search is because we have customers call our help desk and say, hey, can you run this report again? And they give us the name of the report, and they rarely know the actual acronym of it. And so sometimes we have a hard time finding that. So be like, hey, can you run that demand report? Oh, you mean demand invoices report. It's a lot easier to find what you're looking for using the blue bar search. I'm a big fan. Okay, and then the third way is to access your items through your bookmarks. Now earlier I created two bookmarks, order inquiry and product inquiry. So let me show you how that works. Let's say I'm a user who uses customer pricing inquiry all the time. You just go over to the bookmark, hit bookmark this page, and you can name it whatever you like, and hit save. So not only can you access that from here in your bookmarks, you can also access that from your home pages. Because I added this bookmarks widget earlier, and you do have to refresh it after you add one, and there you go. Another place that you could put your bookmarks is in the menu. You can add them. You can add either websites or bookmarks. So the whole focus of the home pages is to have everything you need in one spot. So you could check on your shipping, see if something shipped right, and go straight into order inquiry. And you can set those up right here. So it's all much more intuitive. Okay, let's go back into SX here. Okay, so now I'm going to get into context apps. And to get into context apps, you just go to the double chevron here on the top left, top right. Here we go. Okay, so today I'm going to cover a few of these. I don't have time for all of them. I want to go over your report viewer. I'll go over notes, help, and a little bit on document management. So let's start with the report viewer. In GUI, to get to your report viewer, you have to be in the navigator. So you can get to it from one spot, File, Report Viewer. In WebUI, you can access it no matter what screen you're in through your double chevron. And so it's just like GUI. You can click on a report, and it'll briefly bring up another tab, and then it will pop up with your PDF. So something that's new to WebUI is you can actually share these reports with other people. And you do that by going into these double expanding arrows. And you choose the important report that needs to be shared. Go over to your Users tab. And you can just type in a name, like let's say I'm going to share this with Kathy. Click her name, put the arrow over, and then hit share. And now Kathy will see this report in her report viewer. She might wonder why. Okay, so let's go down here to notes. So notes is what I call an in-context app. So as you can see, there's nothing there. And there won't be anything there until I pull up a relevant order. So let's see here. I want to pull up, where's my order number, 186. So as soon as I pull up a relevant order number, you can see the notes populate. And you can just get a little overview of what kind of notes you have by clicking the down arrow. You can see you have 2 customer notes and no order or order global notes. Now, if you want to go in and edit them or add them, you can click the double expanding arrows. And you can click on this. You can click on your other tabs here too, but you can click on a note. If you'd like to edit it, you can click the edit button, add something, maybe make it required, and save. You can also click the print note button and choose what you want to print. But notice that those don't come up until you hit print note. Hit save and X out. Okay. The next one I'd like to cover is help. So in GUI, your help function is right here. In WebUI, it's easily accessible from your context apps. And what it does is it brings up a new tab, so you can have help open all day if you like. Okay, so let's say you want to know how to import a spreadsheet. You could just go to, you could use your left-hand menu if you like, importing a spreadsheet. And not only does it come up with all of the details you have here on how to do that, but it brings up relevant searches, like how to format a sales order import. If you're like me, you don't always know exactly what you're searching for, and so it's better to actually do a search over here. Like, let's see here, entering stock order. If you want to know how to enter a stock order, well, here's your results. So once you're done finding what you need, you can either close out of it, or you can just jump back to your other tab. Another in-context app is document management. So this is empty. If we go to another module or another function, you can see that document management blanks out. That's because it's another in-context app. If we go back to this order, you can see that that image is associated with that order pops up. So what I can do with this, I can either click on the receipt, the pick ticket, and look at it. You have options to print, email, download, or share. You can also add your own file to the order as well. Okay, so let's explore order inquiry. Now, I don't have time to show every function today, so I'm just going to use order inquiry to show the navigation techniques that are relevant in all the other functions in WebUI. So, as you can see, the advanced search doesn't automatically come up with all of your details, and you have to hit show more. Now, I do want to mention that there's a very easy extension that you can do to keep that expanded. And if you would like me to show you, you can ask after the webinar is done, or I can post that on the TUG board. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, it only comes up with customer number and warehouse at first. But let me point out why that's good. And in GUI, you have all of these details, and especially with new people, they open that and they're like, whoa, where's my information? It can be a little bit overwhelming. In WebUI, you get to choose. So everyone has their own type of criteria that they search for. So let me just pick a few to show you. Let's say that the criteria that's important to me is display, enter from, enter to, product. Let's pick stage, taken by, and transaction types. So let's just do a quick search so I can show you what that looks like. I'll use warehouse 10. I want paid stage, and let's say stock orders. Let me just do a search real quick to show you what that looks like. Okay, what if that's a search that I do every day? Maybe I only have 3 different searches I ever do in order inquiry. Well, you don't have to fill out this information anymore. You can do a search and save, which saves your search, and you can name it what you like. So I'm just going to name it Training Search 1. Okay, and so whenever you close out of order inquiry and get back in, or if you sign out and sign back in, all of these details are still going to be here. So you still have your criteria and you still have your saved searches. And both of these are saved in your browser's cache. And so if you clear your cache, you will lose it, but it only takes a minute to set back up, so it's not that big of a deal. So you just click on that, it fills out the information, and then you hit search. And that's how that works. Real quick before I continue here, I would like to show you another cool feature. In autocomplete, as you start typing a product number, you can see below that I have a number here in brackets. Now there's a system setting that you can create that will actually add the quantity available of this product to the description here. And again, I can post that on TUG later. So I know that I have 98 in stock of this product. Okay, so another few things that I want to show you using order inquiry that are relevant to the entire platform. You can make your grid, you can make the rows shorter so you can see more. If you don't like scrolling so much, you can see more in a more compact version of the grid. Okay, so there's several different ways to search, and I don't have a lot of data here. I'm in the vanilla environment, but I know a lot of times you'll have, 500 results and you're trying to find things within those results. So let's say I forgot to put in a taken by, and I just want to search for that real quick. So let's say I'm looking for orders taken by SJM. So the magnifying glass is very easy. The only downside is that it searches for everything in every column. So it's not just searching for taken by, it's searching for anything. I still really like it. It's easy to use, but you do need to keep in mind that it's slightly generic. And in order to get your original data back, you clear it out and hit enter again. Another way to search for something more specific is to click on the 3 dots and hit show filter row. So this isn't the best example, but again, I'm limited with my data. So let's say I'm looking for order number 146, and I don't want to look anywhere in the grid. I just want to look in the order number column. So I just enter 146 and enter, and there it would be. Now it defaults, the filter defaults to contains, but you can change it to anything else that you like. Let's say you had a product column and you wanted to see all your products that start with AB. And that's something that our users like a lot. Helps them find searches within a search, kind of. Okay, so we've had some calls saying, where did all my data go? You do need to clear the filter once you're done. And again, I did that in the 3 dots. And then if you want the filter row to go away, you just select that again. Okay, so you can also sort your data in any grid very easily by clicking, and it'll sort Z to A or A to Z. Okay, so you can also go down here and choose how many records you want to see per page. I know a lot of yours will default to 5 or 10. I think after 11.18.6, they made it so that you can change the default and it'll save for every page. So I like my default to be 100 records per page. If you like it to be less, you can make it 10 maybe. And that way you can go back and forth like that. I like all of mine to be on the same page. Now it does save that setting from page to page now, so you don't have to change it all the time. I also want to mention that if you want to see more of your grid, you can collapse this sidebar using these double chevron over here. you can see more of what you're looking for. Okay, so let me actually go into one of the orders. Okay, that's a lot of information, and that's a lot of information whether you're in WebUI or GUI. Sometimes I'm just looking for something and I want to find it fairly quickly. In GUI, you just have to scroll until you see it. In WebUI, if you're in Chrome anyway, you can do Control F. So I hit Control and F on my keyboard for find, and I'm going to search for purchase. And that'll bring up whatever you're looking for. Like I was looking for the customer purchase order number. And again, that was Control F on my keyboard. And I know that that works in Chrome, and I'm not sure about the other browsers if you use those, but that's something that our users really love. I also want to mention, in GUI, you can't copy uneditable fields. So if you wanted to copy, warehouse or anything in GUI, you can't unless it's an editable field. In WebUI, you can. You can either hit Control-C or right-click and copy. And this is useful because a lot of times you want to copy an order number and paste it somewhere. Anyway, just a useful tip. Okay. So I want to show you something real quick, another useful tip. I'll go into order entry to show that. So a lot of our users have small monitors, and so their screen will look something like this, and they'll be asking, I don't see all of my buttons. I have buttons that are missing. And so what we tell them to do is to hit Control on their keyboard and scroll on their mouse. So you have a rolling scroller on your mouse, and you can scroll down to zoom out or scroll up to zoom in. And as you can see, as I'm scrolling out, more of those buttons are popping up. Now in this screen, you have access to see your other buttons in the 3 dots as well. But there are some screens like the tendering screen and order entry where you can't see all of your buttons unless you scroll out. So that control and scroll is a very useful tip that we've given our users. Okay, so I don't have time to go through an entire order, but I do want to go through how to change your theme. So if you go to the 3 dots here next to your blue search bar, and you go to theme, you can change it to dark. You can change it to high contrast. Now I like the light one. Switch that back. Another thing you can do in this function here is open up a new screen by going to Advanced, New Window. Now our users use this extra window for inquiries, and the reason they do that is because it doesn't include your home pages or your web platform, and it doesn't include your context apps. So they'll open up their order inquiry or product inquiry and use it for that while they do their main job right here in WebUI. Okay, let me show you how to sign out. So signing out is different for somebody who has one account versus multiple accounts. So for me, I have multiple accounts, so I would do it through the hamburger menu, my account, and then sign out. And that way you have access to sign into maybe another one of your accounts right here. Now, if I only had one SX account, I would sign out using the user menu and sign out. Okay, so I will move it over to questions now.
Okay,
right.
Gary, do we have any questions?
Yes, we do have some questions. Rodney Williams had asked, does the document management also work for a journal where you need to see the associated invoice?
Yes, you could definitely have that set up. Now, is that the way it is out of the box? You might have to tie that information in within the Infor document management application, but that is a capability.
Okay, wonderful. And the next question is from Debbie Schwab. Debbie asks, will Control F detect something on a different tab of the same inquiry?
That's a great question. And actually myself, I just found out about the Control F tab not too long ago. It's a really nice little capability. Mel, are you aware if it'll locate information on another tab that you have open?
I don't think it does. I mean, I can verify that while we answer questions, but I don't think that it looks on any other tab other than the one that you have open. Yeah. In my experience, no.
Okay. I would assume not as well, but great question.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then Doris Mason asks, can the theme be linked to the company that you are logged in?
So I believe the theme of everything is linked to the individual user, and I can double check on that and report back to the group, but I believe that is kind of a user setting. I don't know if you have the ability to set that for the company or for the profile. I believe it is user specific.
Okay. And the next question is from Marie Warren, who says, can the additional window be moved to another monitor?
Absolutely. Yes. Yep.
We have a lot of users who do that, just have one inquiry screen on one monitor and their main work on the other. It works brilliantly.
Wonderful. And the next query is from Natalie Barat, who says, is the view the same in the non-cloud suite?
It is. It is. SX.e version 11 WebUI is the exact same look and feel as what you're seeing here with Cloud Suite distribution.
Okay.
If you see my screen, I just popped up with the regular, with our environment, and this is on-prem WebUI. It has the same look and feel.
Thank you. And then I have two questions from Thierry Turner. The first is, are you MOD free to be at cloud?
I'm not sure if I really understand the question. Can they maybe elaborate a little bit more, or I can look more into that after and get back individually?
There will be a bank of questions with regard to who the individual was that asked that you can follow up with when I send you the post-event report. And maybe the second question that Terry asked might lead into that. How can we have multiple inquiry screens open?
So yeah, you can use the new tab option to have multiple screens open at a single time. It could even be multiple inquiry screens. It could even be multiple order entry screens open at a singular time, but you'd use that new tab option.
Okay. And the next question is from Nick Desio. He says, in GUI, you had the blue button that unpins a tab. Can you break unpin as well?
Mel, can you assist me with that one? I'm not 100% sure familiar with that graphical function. Are you aware off the top of your head?
You can unpin a tab from WebUI or GUI.
I believe it. Will you repeat the question one more time, Gloria, just so we make sure we got it?
I would be happy to. It says, in GUI, you had the blue button that unpins a tab. Can you break unpin as well?
I think that he means like taking the tab off from GUI. So you can just do this and have it be a new window.
Yep, that's what I would assume too. Yep.
Yeah.
And the next question is from Jacqueline Carey. I missed how to open an additional screen. Can you go over that task again quickly?
Sure. So I went over, I'm in the SX application, and I went over to the three dots here right next to the blue search bar. Advanced, new window. And it'll bring it up in a new tab, but you can undock it very easily, however you like.
Okay. And Nick has an additional question. Are exports limited to the records shown?
Exports, as in the ability to export. I get there. Yes, I do believe so. Based on the records that come up in your search results, I think those are the ones that are limited to the exports when you run that to Excel. You do have the ability to select which lines within the results you want to export. So if you have 100 results and you only want 50 of the lines, you can select certain lines you want to export, but I do believe it is based on the results that show up.
Okay. Peter Wilhelms asks, how do you handle setting up new users? When you copy a user, what all comes over?
You can set up a user uniquely. You can set them up as a profile, or you can just have a generic company option as well. So if you set up a new sales rep and you want them like all the other sales reps, you would set them up against a profile and it would copy everything over. Now, if that user has something unique, maybe it's a personalization of a screen, whatever it may be, then you would have to go in for that specific user and tailor that and personalize that. But basically, you would be copying the rollover to set up a new sales rep, for example.
I do want to mention, too, that you can create personalization profiles and apply that to their setup, their user setup in SASO and SASO. And so you can create profiles based on job titles or whatever you prefer, and give people the same personalization across the board.
Okay, Terrell had asked a question, and I'm not sure if this was in relation to something. It was directly on the screen, probably, but it said no mods, question mark. So Terrell, if you could maybe post your question again in its entirety with regard to which screen you were looking at for modification, that will allow us to circle back, time permitting. Nick asks, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Gloria, sorry. I think that what he means by that, I mentioned that there were no mods in this environment. I am using a Cloud Suite vanilla environment, and so there's no mods or personalization. Just for this presentation, we're using one that's very simple. I didn't want to use my own personal environment to show my company's information to everyone.
But in your company information, in your company program, you do have the ability to modify it. I believe then would be the question if you're the actual license holder.
Yes, and our company, in our WebUI, we're in a on-prem version, and we do have modifications in that version.
Okay. And Michael Derrick has two questions. Is there a max amount of tabs we can have open?
I don't believe so. Not that I've run into. So I would say no to that one.
Okay. And the second question is, could saved searches be saved by a group of people?
Mel, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I believe it's unique to the user with the saved searches.
Yes, I would say no, because it's saved in their cache, in their browser. So there's really no way that it could be per person, especially if they're accessing it from different computers.
Okay.
So that is per person. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Brian Mobius has a question. Our users use multiple PCs, and if they leave themselves logged on to the website or on a PC, will they be able to log into another without logging out, or will that bring them back to the same page?
I believe it would log them out of their other PC if they completely logged back in again, and it would clear their operating. Now, if they had an order open and they were working on an order in one PC, I do believe that that order would still pop up. But if you're looking in order inquiry, I would believe it would clear everything completely. Now, you might have some insight on that if any of that has happened to any of your users.
Yeah, it will. It'll let you log into the web platform, so like the home pages and Mingle side of things, in 2 different browsers. And you can log in twice, especially if you're using a Google Incognito window like I am, which you can get to by doing New Incognito window. But you cannot be logged into SX in on 2 different computers. No. It'll say that you're signed in somewhere else. Would you like to clear that user, etc.?
Yeah.
And Marie Dixon also asks, can you move columns around in a grid?
Yes, absolutely. Yep, so you can move columns around on the fly. If you do not personalize it, it will not save it, but there is a personalize option that you can go into and you can move the columns around so that they stay there permanently. So as Mel's going in here, she's going to personalize. You can move those columns around in the grid and that'll save it. But if you just go ahead right from order inquiry with your results and move columns around, that will not save it the next time you go into order inquiry. But you can.
Okay, and we do have a number of raised. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mel. I apologize.
Oh, it's fine. I was just having a little bit of technical difficulty with my account here. I think I'm good now. But what I was going to show is you can also do small extensions and change the width of those columns. And that's something I'm going to post on TUG later as well. You can permanently change the width instead of just changing it one-off. So it's been very helpful to our users so they can see more in one spot.
And being mindful of time, we have a number of people that are online that have their hands raised that have additional questions. Are you two good with staying on a few more minutes?
Sure.
Yep, absolutely.
Danny Lapointe has a question. Danny, I'm going to unmute your microphone, and if you could just ask your question, we'll go ahead and we'll have that answered.
Well,
Danny,
I'm
are
sure
you?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Righty, and let me move down the line. Oops. Danny, can you mute your microphone, please? Thank you. Okay. And the next question is Erica Grimmer. Erica, I'm going to unmute you, and please feel free to answer your question. Ask your question.
I'm sorry, I didn't have a question either. I must have hit raise hand by accident.
No worries. If you can go ahead and mute yourself, that would be great. And let me go to the next one and see if that's a question or if we have Marie Dixon has her hand raised. Let's just see if Marie has any additional questions. Marie, did you have any additional questions?
I'm sorry, no, I don't.
Okay, if you want to go ahead and mute yourself again. And let's see, Michael Derrick. Michael, do you have any additional questions? I see that your hand is raised. Okay.
Sorry, we were muted. That was a malfunction on my end there. Sorry about that. All right, hand down. All right, we're good.
No worries.
All right, thanks for the presentation.
No worries. Let me just scroll down here. Pat Potter has a hand raised. Let's unmute Pat.
Sorry, I was playing with the hand also.
No worries. We're going to mute you and go to the next one. Thank you, Pat. All righty. And Sean Mason has a hand raised. Sean, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Sean, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have one either.
Okay. I don't want to make anyone feel as though we're not attending to them, but I think the safe thing to bet is that probably was a slip of a mouse click. So let me just check and see if there are any more last minute typed questions. Richard Bowes has one last one. He says, I'm feeling left out. I did not have a question, nor did I raise my hand. Great presentation, thank you. So that's a comment to our presenters, Mel, Brandon, more than anything else. Mel, do you have a final screen that you would like to put up that has your contact information on it in the event that someone would like to get in touch with you, or would you like to share that verbally before we log off?
Yeah, let me share it verbally. I didn't think I had enough to make a screen like that. So you can either contact me on the TUG WebUI CSD network group, or by email at mchurch@smcelectric.com. And that's just M as a melody, Church as my last name.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like to remind everyone that if you'd like to share this with your colleagues or any of your customers with regard to how software is working in this realm, it will be available on the TUG website tomorrow by clicking on the YouTube link on the front page. And with that all said, we'd like to say that's a wrap. And thanks again, Mel and Brandon, and everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you.